This is the NANOQ R from ThorZone, and it's the case I'm going to be building in next. In this video, I'll be going over my thoughts on this case so far and also go over what my plans are for a full build video. But first, let's talk a bit about what the NANOQ is and where it's coming from. It's a relatively recent case on the market, with the first batch having been delivered to buyers only a few months ago. I have been following along with its development for most of the year, and I was impressed with ThorZone's frequent updates and their transparency and willingness to improve based on feedback. So when ThorZone offered to send me a sample of their upcoming batch 2 release, I was more than happy to try it out. Much like the Form T1, the NANOQ is a sandwich-style case that maximizes usable internal volume by doing away with traditional sheet metal spines, in favor of unobtrusive struts that connect the front and rear panels. ThorZone calls this the core of the case. It also has a shifty spine that can adjust how much room is allocated to each compartment. But what's different here is that this is not done with hard stops, but rather it's a free-form adjustment. And that's where the similarities with the T1 end. The NANOQ doesn't have traditional panels. Instead, it has a solid extruded aluminum shell that slides over the core. It's quite a clever solution that gets you a monolithic looking case with practically no seams and no visible screws. But this can be both a blessing and a curse. Extra care is needed when sliding the shell over the core to avoid catching loose wires or scratching up internal components. You can have the NANOQ sit horizontally, or by using handles available as a separate accessory, you can have it sit vertically. There's two size options available, the S, which has a volume of 11 liters, and the R, the one I have in front of me today, which comes out at 16 liters. 16 liters is quite a jump from 11 liters, and even though it may not sound like much on paper, the difference is quite noticeable in person. Compared to the T1, the NANOQ R is practically huge. When sitting vertically, it's actually fairly close in apparent size to the original NZXT-H1. But what it offers for that increase in volume is no doubt impressive. We have GPU compatibility up to 4 slots and crazy amount of versatility for custom liquid cooling. You can easily fit one 280 radiator on the top and one 140 radiator in the front with room to spare. For those daring enough, it's even possible to do a triple-rad setup in the NANOQ R. Just take a look at this bonkers build from Ahanix. Granted, a few mods were necessary, and this is not a beginner-friendly build at all, but still a highly impressive thing to do in a 16-liter case, and I recommend checking out the Reddit post linked in the description. For my own build, I'm not yet sure what I'll end up doing. Obviously, the build will be centered around my RTX 4090 Founders Edition, and I'll probably stick with my 7950 X3D for the time being. Cooling wise, I'm mainly thinking air cooling to test against my optimized build in the Form T1. But I'm not opposed to the idea of returning to custom liquid cooling either. The ample space in the NANOQ R definitely welcomes that. My dream loop would consist of dusting off the Mod Ultra Lobo and pairing it with Mod Ultra's upcoming super slim 4090 Founders Edition block. If you guys have recommendations or suggestions, I'm happy to take note of them, or maybe particular setups in the NANOQ R that you'd like to see me try out. I do have a few rough ideas in mind of what I do for an air-cooled build, and I'm very excited to try those out. It's funny, being used to work with only 10 liters of volume, it now feels like I have more volume that I know what to do with it, at least when it comes to air cooling. Still, one thing I learned from min-maxing in the T1 is that often a few millimeters of breathing room in between fans and panels goes a long way in minimizing unwanted fan turbulence noise. It's not always a good idea to make use of every last millimeter of clearance. Okay, let's talk design. I'm going to say something perhaps a bit unpopular. I find the design of the NANOQ to be somewhat overstyled. It's a very bold design, that much is certain, and ThorZone have managed to create a unique and recognizable look, which is no small thing to do in the world of SFF cases. I just feel that perhaps the design could have been a bit more toned down, but then maybe that's the thing, it wouldn't really set itself apart from other Swedish case brands like Loki with their famous Ghost S1 and upcoming Ghost R1 cases, or Fractal, who have recently embraced a new and more mature design language with cases like the Fractal North. Fortunately though, ThorZone offers several customization options, like the walnut inserts, which I feel help tone down the look of the case and elevate it. I'm not normally a fan of wooden accents on PC cases, but here I think it just looks stunning, especially in combination with this carbon black color. And while we're at it, I really like the configurator on ThorZone's website. There's something very satisfying about seeing the renders update in real time depending on your choices. I want to also briefly mention the rear panel. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just that it looks somewhat plain in contrast to the front panel. There's no engraved logo or fun Easter eggs to be found here. Not that I need that sort of thing in my life, or maybe I do. Internally, I like the look and rigidity of the core, with its stainless steel struts. It is somewhat finicky, however, if you need to disassemble it. It feels more like working on an expensive watch than a PC case. It also looks like Loctite is pre-applied to most of the screws, which makes sense, as some of these screws don't need to be fully tightened, but they do need to stay in place. I'm also not entirely sold on the locking mechanism. When you push two of the front columns, a small knob slides into a cutout inside the shell, holding the core in place. Now, in horizontal mode, this is absolutely fine, as the core isn't really going anywhere. But in vertical mode, if you lift the case up holding onto just the shell, this little knob is the only thing separating the core from the floor. I don't expect it to fail, as that would take an incredible amount of force, but still, I'm not yet sure how to feel about it. I mentioned earlier the frequent updates that ThorZone is sharing with the community, so let's go over that now. The latest update, for instance, is a changelog that goes over all the updates and improvements coming with the second batch of NANOQ cases. Perhaps the most significant update is the updated riser, which was known to get caught when sliding the shell onto the core, and a lot of care was needed to avoid that. The updated riser now has protective tape on the exposed area between the core and the shell. The rest of the updates are mainly quality of life changes based on feedback from batch 1. Things like switching to higher quality Torx screws, the power button using a connector instead of soldered wires, slots instead of holes on the rails for better compatibility, and there's even a slight facelift to the front panel, which is now a bit cleaner looking and no longer has a power button symbol underneath the NANOQ name. While the version I have does have some of these updates, it does not have them all. And even though I haven't yet built inside the NANOQ, I can already tell that many of the changes will be more than welcome. For instance, the batch 2 update will have slots on the rear knobs, which will make it a lot easier to attach the handles. It's a small thing, but I'm sure all the updates together do add up. Anyway, I'll save my conclusions for the NANOQ R until after I get a chance to do my full build in it. I will say though that this is an expensive case. The NANOQ R by itself is 363 euros. Add just the walnut front columns and you're looking at an eye-watering total of 413 euros. Shipping is free, but you may need to pay import taxes as well, as the cases are shipped from China. All that said, I am very excited about building in it, and I'm very much looking forward to that. As always, I'm really curious what you guys think, so let me know down in the comments. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, first of all, thank you, and second of all, you might as well hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Bye for now.